everybody.
Hi, guys. Well, from literally gorgeous Salt Lake City, Utah,
It's Thank God I'm Atheist.
the podcast.
I'm Frank Feldman.
And I'm Dan Beecher.
And coming up today on the show, Dan, we're going to be talking about religious honorifics, like Reverend and Sister and Bishop so-and-so. Should we use them? Should we honor?
We don't believe in the thing that they think gives them authority. So should we honor the honorifics? We'll talk about that. That'll be a... You had said earlier that you thought you might know where I was going to fall down on it, on that question. And my response is, I'm not sure I know where I'm going to fall down on it. So I'll be glad to hear when you tell me where I'm falling down on it.
Well, what if that's what I thought? Is that you?
No,
would
I'm
have
saying
it,
you should.
You would.
You tell me, and then I'll know.
You'd feel ambivalent.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, your prediction was my ambivalence. Interesting. Anyway, we'll get to that.
Anyway, all right, Dan. Let's see. Where should I start? Oh, I'll start here. Town in Ohio, Dan, by the name of Lebanon, Ohio.
Oh, sure. I know it well.
Has voted unanimously, their city council has, to pass an ordinance that turns their town into a sanctuary city for the unborn. Any unborn person feeling unsafe, please, you may go to Lebanon, Ohio.
I did not see that coming. I'll be honest. I was like, I'm like trying to predict where it's going, and I thought maybe a sanctuary city for Christians, or I couldn't figure out where. I mean, it was very clearly not going to be like an actual sanctuary for people in need of sanctuary. Like, I knew that wasn't where we were going with this. But
Dan, these babies, Dan, they need sanctuary, and if you happen to abort one in the town of Lebanon, it is now punishable with 6 months in jail, supposedly.
Wow.
And a $1,000 fine.
I don't think that's going to hold up.
Yeah,
even in the environment that we're in, I don't think you can get away with that one.
Yeah, Ohio, of course, they have fairly strict abortion laws. Their governor in 2019 signed the heartbeat bill into legislation, and it would have it would have banned abortion as early as 6 weeks,
right?
But it was later blocked by a judge. But Ohio does currently ban abortions after 20 weeks,
right?
Yeah, and they keep trying to get it down to 6 weeks, which is ludicrous.
Well, it's just before a woman might know she's pregnant, so
yeah.
It's an effective ban.
Well, I mean, it's not ludicrous from their perspective, but
right.
But anyway,
they're saving lives from murder.
Yeah, I know.
From their perspective.
But apparently, Dan, this whole sanctuary cities for the unborn is a thing.
Oh God.
I looked it up. It is a thing. They have a website, and they have sanctuary cities. Don't look it up, Dan. Don't look it up. I'm
not going to.
Okay, all right. Because
I'm guessing that this is a Project Blitz idea.
Yeah, it's interesting. Most all of the cities that are listed here as sanctuary cities are all in Texas. Huge places like Wascom, Texas, and Tanaha, Texas, and Gilmer, and Westbrook, Rusk, Gary, East
There's
Mountain.
a Gary, Texas?
There's a Gary, Texas. It keeps going. The list, I mean, it's just tons and tons and tons of places in Texas. Then there's Hayes Center, Nebraska, Blue Hill, Nebraska, and now Lebanon, Ohio has joined the list.
Oh, my God. So the thriving metropolises are really getting behind this movement.
Oh, yeah. They also have potential cities. Abilene. You've at least heard of Abilene.
Yeah, that's true.
Henderson, Texas. I think I've heard of that. Just scrolling. It's again, this is a Texas project. Big time, because they're just all down in Texas. Places most of them I've never heard of. And the ones that I have they have a name of another place like Odessa or Athens, and so who knows, right? Like maybe I've heard of it. And then they have cities of death, Dan.
Oh.
They have a list of cities of death, and there's only one, Austin, Texas.
Wait, that's a city of death?
It's a city of death. They I guess they rejected becoming a sanctuary city, so they've been declared a city of death. And I don't know what denying
Can they declare Salt Lake a city of death? I want to be a city of death.
I think it would be glorious to be a city of death. Like this,
I'm going to write to them. To whom it may concern.
You've missed a city.
I would like to report a glaring oversight in your list.
Clearly, Salt Lake City is a city of death.
We would wear it as a badge of honor.
Austin. Oh, poor Austin. Just death everywhere.
It must. How must it be to be an interesting cultural center stuck in the middle of Texas?
I know. We have that to some degree here.
We do.
We're not Austin by any stretch of the imagination, but like
we're getting there.
Not quite yet.
You throw a couple hundred more food trucks in Salt Lake, we're going to be there.
Probably true.
All right. From Austin, Texas, I'm going to take us to your former stomping grounds, Rome.
Oh, yeah. Love the place.
Roma, Italy, where an interesting switch has happened. A sort of bizarre thing. Because, look, there's this little organization you may have heard of. They got a little headquarters there in Rome. Actually, not in Rome, surrounded by Rome.
Right. They're in their own place.
City, country, state place called the Catholic Church. And they, you may have known, own a couple of pieces of art.
A few.
They own a lot of art.
They own all the art.
All of the art.
They've got
for centuries.
Yeah.
They owned all of the art. So, if you want to put the Sistine Chapel on, in your restaurant, or you want, to have a replica of Michelangelo's Pietà, you are going to need to check in with the Vatican because they guard those images jealously.
Do they license them?
I don't know. I know that they are definitely like they enforce their copyright of those things.
God, seriously?
Which makes the story that I'm about to tell all the more ironic, which is that the Vatican issued postage stamps with the image of a Jesus. It's a Jesus image that was done by a Rome-based street artist named Alessia Babro, who did not give them permission to put her image on their postage stamps.
No way. Really?
They didn't even ask. She put it up on a bridge in Rome, and I guess. And the interesting thing is that like this is commentary on religion. This isn't endorsement of religion. This is an image of Jesus with his arms sort of outstretched, a halo on him, and her sort of artist tag, which is a very large heart over his chest that says "Just use it," which is sort of her branding. As a street artist.
Yeah.
And they just were like, "Oh, that's nice."
Well, like I said, they own all the art.
Yeah. I think they think that. I think they're like, "Wait, what do you mean we can't just use it?" It says "just use it" right on the art. It has those very words. So there you go. Apparently, and
is she claiming like a copyright? Like, is she going after them?
Yes, she is.
That's
suing.
interesting for public art, for street art.
Yeah,
right?
Apparently there are the law actually doesn't distinguish copyright even if it was
graffiti,
illegally
right,
put up,
right,
the artist still owns copyright. They may be liable for destruction of property or some sort of graffiti laws as well, but they own copyright of their art. So she is suing the Vatican for 130,000 euros.
Good for her. Get it. Go get your stamp money.
I love it. Also, she should just buy up all of those stamps. She should just own the whole run of those, because that would be awesome.
Yeah.
I would never send a letter without one of the stamps with my art on it.
Lots of trips to the Vatican, though. So you got to go to their post office.
Yeah, exactly.
You know.
Did you ever use their post office while you were there?
All the time. It was way more efficient than the Italian postal service.
Oh.
And we just lived right around the corner. So
there you go.
Like we were so effing close to the Vatican. Why did I say effing?
Well, one doesn't want to swear when one is so close to the Lord's anointed.
I'm trying to not have to click the explicit tag this week.
Fucking click it.
I do it every week out of just habit. All right, Dan. A little bit of a follow up. Saudi Arabia has my attention at the moment.
Yeah,
they do, because they're up to crazy land stuff from my perspective. Right? Yeah. Because the way that they have responded to COVID-19, which is they've taken it seriously, has kind of, it just sort of surprised me. It caught me off guard. I don't know why, but believing the science caught me off guard.
Well, it is disappointing because they're the sort of theocratic nightmare state. We should be the bastion of like the world should look to the United States and be like, well, what are they doing? We should do that. But
instead, the world does not do that, Dan.
No. I'm saying we have not earned that in any way. And the COVID-19 thing was a wildly was a crazy way of demonstrating how much we haven't earned that. But we should. But we haven't.
I know. Anyway,
so Saudi's doing good then.
They're doing okay on that whole front. But what this article is addressing is the fact that they are making the vaccine mandatory.
Right. Oh, interesting.
It is mandatory. You have to get vaccinated, right? And it's causing a backlash. Like, they have an anti-vax population, right? And people who don't want to be vaccinated, for whatever crazy reason. And Saudi Arabia is just like, well, then you cannot go on pilgrimages. You cannot attend university. You cannot go to malls. You cannot go to the office. And you can't travel outside of the country. You can't leave the country unless you're vaccinated.
I love it.
And this is all part of the we've spoken about it before on the show. They're trying to push this Vision 2030 program where they're trying to kind of open up, and they're trying to get tourism. They're also trying to bring in big international sporting events and just big events, international events, period. Like, they just want to bring in money through tourism and maybe, I don't know, convention type stuff and sporting events, and just not oil. Right, that's basically what they're working on. Is just how do we make money?
A way to continue to make money
that isn't
dead dinosaurs.
Yeah, and so, but compulsory vaccination. Boy, there's a part of me that really wishes we could do it. There's also just a part of me that wishes we could just trust people to do it on their own. That there wasn't so much misinformation out there.
Right.
Because
But what good is wishing that humanity was better than it actually is?
Yeah, you might as well force them to do the right thing. Right.
Yeah. You literally can't.
Is that the answer? I don't know. If that's
literally
the answer.
every time we say, hey, here's the right thing, everybody, do it. A decent percentage is just going to say no. So no, you can't just say. I mean, that's just wishful thinking. It's every bit as much magical thinking to think that like humanity will just do the right thing because it's the right thing.
I know. I do think though that without making it like mandatory, because I mean this is like, I don't know how you live your life without doing it, right? I think you pick one or two things and you just say you have to be vaccinated to do this. You have to be vaccinated to go to public schools, right? Like that's a completely reasonable request. You have to, and I think companies saying you have to be vaccinated or show us, you know, some sort of reason why you can't be,
right.
Or else you can't come to work, right? And so like, I think those are reasonable things to do, but I get weird when like, I don't know, I don't want the government telling me, right? No, I don't. Like okay, so in this instance, I'm totally cool with it, right? Like I'd be like, oh yeah, great, like awesome, but I don't know. Am I sounding a little weird right now?
I'm just saying. I totally get where you're coming from.
It makes me uneasy.
But the problem is somebody has to say it.
I know.
Somebody has to say, this is mandatory. You have to do this because society needs it.
But can't we, and I know this is a stupid thing to say, but like, can't we just win the argument? Like, can't we just like...
No! This is the problem. We have to acknowledge that society, that human beings are, for the most part, idiots.
Yeah.
We're just dumb. And every time we don't like proceed with that acknowledgement, we fail.
Yeah.
Because we've won science wins so many arguments and then loses in the real world. Like we know so many things. We know that there's no God. Like the fact that that everyone isn't atheist at this point is plenty for us to say, oh yeah, we have to give up on everybody just doing the right thing because it makes the most sense. That will never ever work. So
I know it won't, but like I want it to.
Okay. Well,
can't I just... it's so sad that I no longer believe in humanity, right? Like I used to. I honestly used to. I believe if everybody goes back 400 episodes, you'll probably hear me say something about how I believe in humanity, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, but boy, that's gone.
Yeah.
Last year. I mean, It was probably already happening, but like this last year, it's just like, no, I'm fucking done. Humanity fucking sucks. I'm done.
It's been the past 4 years for me.
Yeah. But for me, tangible this last year.
Right.
Like where it's like, that is the thought of, it's just like, humanity sucks.
Yeah. I mean, you can believe humanity there's good in humanity. I'm fine with that statement. There is good in humanity.
Is there?
As long as it doesn't run afoul of anybody's fears or like...
Yeah, that's not good though. That's not being good.
You just need to heavily caveat.
Yeah, no, you shouldn't have to put too many caveats on the declaration of humanity is good.
Oh,
right?
No,
you shouldn't have like then. I mean, how many caveats before it's like, oh yeah, not good, right?
Just like we're not inherently good. We're just inherently human. That's what we are.
Humanity is inherently human.
And I am going to further demonstrate that with next story, which is about, I don't know if you've heard of Wheaton College. It's outside of Chicago.
Yeah, okay.
It's an evangelical college. It is a and it's a long running. It's been around for a long time. And there at Wheaton College, there is a plaque. And this plaque honors some missionaries who were killed by what it calls Indians. Now,
What?
it doesn't just say Indians. It actually uses, the whole phrase is savage Indians.
Boy.
So,
Okay.
the good news is they're taking down this plaque.
Oh, good. Okay.
And replacing it. The bad news is when I say that there is a plaque on an old college that's commemorating missionaries being killed by savage Indians,
oh, God.
give me a year when you think this event may have happened.
Oh, no.
Go ahead.
That the missionaries were killed?
Yeah.
1983.
That's closer than your real guess would have been if I hadn't set it up that way.
What?
I'm sure, like, I'm thinking 1830s or 7, you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
whatever. It's got to be way back in olden days.
Right.
Not the 1956 event that it's actually commemorating.
When did the plaque go up?
Not long after that.
Okay. I believe that. Like,
1956. But
I
here's the
believe
thing. This wasn't North American, quote unquote, Indians. These were the indigenous people of Ecuador, the Waorani people.
what?
Who were, one of these tribes that didn't want outsiders coming in. And
Right.
of course, there's nothing more tantalizing to dipshit Christian missionaries than people who refuse to hear their message. So this group of 5 ding-dongs decided to venture into a place that they knew for a fact was unwelcoming, that did not want them, a group of people that did not want them and had a reputation for killing people who did intrude on their little life.
Oh, no.
And they got killed. Like, the obvious thing happened.
Right.
And what's amazing about this story, and I found the story in a couple of places, is that nobody was like, yeah, we definitely should take this plaque down. This is not something that should be commemorated. This was us being dicks and sort of inserting ourselves in a place that we have no business inserting ourselves. No, the plaque is coming down because it has the word savage in it.
Oh,
and
God.
that's offensive. And it is deeply offensive.
Yeah. But not the
But
practice.
also,
it wasn't the practice of forcing religion onto unsuspecting native peoples.
Onto people who don't want it, who have made it clear they don't want it. And
even more
apparently
so.
there was like
Right.
a few days leading up to their murder where they were trying to make inroads and giving gifts to these people. But I'm guessing they were very clear about this. Don't come here.
Right.
That has been the message. They were very, very clear. They killed other people. So I don't think you get a plaque because you were one of the people who was killed by a group of people who said, don't come here or we'll kill you.
It was really a plaque for being stupid.
It's a plaque for being idiots.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
But they didn't. But that's not the issue that they're taking. The the highly offensive wording will be coming down. So that's nice. Isn't that nice?
It's nice. It's good. All right, Dan. Southern Baptists.
Yes, I've heard of them.
They're out there in droves. There's so many of them, Dan.
Yeah.
But there are fewer than there used to be. Apparently, they're on the decline. They have lost more than 2 million members since 2006. So just in 15 years, they went down from like, what was it? Like 16.3 million Southern Baptists in the world, and now there is 14 million.
Oh man,
which is
I like that. I like that trend.
Yeah, it's great. I fucking
That
love it.
is a positive trend.
I mean, they've lost almost 500,000 just since 2019. Like 435,000. And obviously there's COVID that's been going on.
Sure.
So worship attendance was down a bit this last year. That's to be expected. But also, like, I'm sure church was open for business in most places. But, the Southern Baptist...
and we're talking about membership.
We're legitimately talking... Well, and some attendance.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's the 15% that I was just talking about. They also have had baptisms are down by about half in that period of time.
So that could be the attendance in the baptisms could be accounted for by just COVID, but
a little bit. You really baptisms? Like, I guess
because
I guess they kind of do a lot of adult baptism, like, because they're evangelizing, right? They're like trying to bring people into the fold,
right?
So yeah, I guess that's probably true. It could be a lot of COVID, and they definitely mentioned that in this article. But there's a lot of concern that even with the numbers that they've lost from COVID, that they'll see people returning. Like, they're actually really concerned about that. Like, they suspect they're going to lose, like, the vast majority of those people.
I think they're going to lose a lot. Yeah, I think everybody that stopped going, a huge percentage are going to be like, oh, do you know what's nice? Not going to church.
Yeah, it's wonderful. But like, it is interesting because they have seen a number of high profile people leaving the denomination.
Yeah.
Beth Moore, right? Who we've talked about. She's a Bible like instructor type thing, right?
She left because she was a teacher in a group that didn't allow women teachers.
Oh, right. Okay. Ethicist Russell Moore. They've lost apparently just a bunch of black pastors over the past little while. And so, when you start seeing high profile people of the community and actual like leaders in the community departing, well, they're the lay folk are going too. And that just is guaranteed.
That trend is going to continue.
Yeah.
They are in trouble.
Yeah.
I love it. An organization. I love it too.
Because they're pretty nasty.
Because what's great is that unlike, a group like the Mormon Church where their numbers are way down, but the trend line is still sort of slowly creeping upward, I think. These guys are actually taken in aggregate, all for all, they're still losing.
Right.
I mean, when you subtract out all the people that they're gaining, they're still on a downward trajectory, and that's great.
Yeah. I mean, Mormons still do have, it's not the powerhouse a birth rate that it used to be, but they still have a decent birth rate, and that helps with their numbers a lot. And the other thing that Mormons have going for them is they have a lot of third world growth at the moment, and that's not meant to discredit in any way.
No.
But they're going into areas that, I mean, they have a history of preying on people in the third world.
It's their that's their big ticket item.
Yeah.
They're getting no new converts in the first world.
No.
They're not even, they're getting nothing. They're definitely negative in this and other first world countries.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. I'm gonna close it out with an interesting, speaking of Southern Baptists, there's one who's very angry. We've heard from Albert Mohler before. He's the president of the Southern Baptist Theological Seminary. He was one of the guys that created a big furor recently about critical race theory and how much he hates that. Boy, that's a big hot ticket item right now. How dare we look at like our history through the lens of what actually happened? Anyway, he's now up in arms about a totally different thing, and I think he has every right to be. He is mad at Legos. Legos, the little toy
little
block
blocks?
company.
No.
They're clipped together.
What could he possibly have against Legos?
Oh, they did something awful, Frank. They did something terrible.
Oh,
They created a little set that you can buy. You know, you buy the sets. You can buy a set that, you build a little TIE fighter from Star Wars, or you can build a little... You buy a set, and I was always a big fan of just give me a bucket of bricks, and I'll just see what I can create on my own.
Yeah, same
I didn't
here.
want... Don't give me rules and instructions. But...
That's hard to believe.
There's a new kit that's being released, and it is they're calling it "Everyone is Awesome."
Uh-oh.
And the "Everyone is Awesome" kit.
He doesn't like that idea.
Well, he doesn't. He doesn't like that idea at all. As a matter of fact,
that not everyone is awesome. He's awesome, right?
Yeah, no, there's a quote that says exactly that.
No. How did I? No, I'm sorry, Dan.
Let me describe the Lego thing, and then I'll get to what he actually said. The Lego thing is it's a pride flag. So,
no.
Inclusive. It's the rainbow, and then it's got the trans colors on one end, and the brown and the black stripes as well, and then a bunch of little Lego guys in each of the colors.
Okay.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's just a rainbow.
Sounds cute.
And it's called Everyone is Awesome. And it's obviously about LGBTQIA plus and black and brown inclusion. Great. Well, not great for Albert Mohler, who literally did ask. Okay, I'll just read the quote. What exactly does awesome mean? Even if you understand how the word has been devalued in our society, is everyone awesome? Is everyone awesome all the time? Are you going to speak of everyone is equally awesome? Does it have anything to do with sexual identity? And as everything is awesome, everything really is awesome. I don't think so. I don't know. His wording is a little wonky in the middle there. He's very, very upset at the possibility that
somebody might be confused and think that everyone is indeed awesome.
Right.
What a terrible message.
What a tragedy that would be. I mean, it's very clearly not true. This guy, very not awesome.
Yeah, he's not
obviously
awesome.
not awesome. But yes, I think it can be very. Yeah,
Also,
I think you're probably in the wrong position.
Literally, guy. Like
literally, if your position is, I'm a Christian, I believe in the guy who said that everyone is divine and and is the son or daughter of the living God, and Jesus, and I'm a follower of Jesus who said to love everyone, and then your position is, but fuck you if you think they're all awesome. I think maybe you've got an issue there. Somebody's a grumpy.
Oh, poor guy.
Yeah. There you go. Anyway, listen, if you are awesome, but you have something that you'd like to say to us, please feel free to write into us. podcast@thankgodimatheist.com.
Or call and leave us a voicemail message. The telephone number is 424-666-8442. Stick around. There's more show coming up. Hey, Dan.
Yeah.
Now is the time, Dan, to hear some religious ding-dong say something.
We usually we get some choice ones here. This is delightful. This is Jim Bakker. Now, we have played Jim Bakker plenty of times. Of late, he's the guy who sells copious food buckets for the apocalypse, and also silver-based miracle cures for COVID.
Right.
That's who this guy is now. But we remember a time, Frank, when Jim Bakker was a different Jim Bakker. When he had one of the largest televangelist empires in the world, if not the largest.
Was it the PLO? PTL. Praise the Lord Ministries.
Yes, something like that.
It wasn't PLO. That's something else. It was the PTL. And yeah, they had like a big satellite network thing. And it was crazy town. And they would there's actually some fun documentaries on it. The Eyes of Tammy Faye?
Right.
That one's great. And they get all into they would just go on unscripted and just riff for hours and just bleed money out of people. And they built Bible Land, or they tried to build, this amusement park called Bible Land.
Yeah.
And all the while, it's just a giant slush fund for him, right?
Yeah.
He's totally misusing money. I can't remember exactly what the whole fraud thing was.
Wasn't it they finally got him for some sort of wire fraud, didn't they?
I seem to recall it was the thing they were really able to finally pin on him.
But also for the Bible Land, he would sell it was like a timeshare thing he sold for his hotels, and then he oversold it by gross amounts.
Yeah.
He literally, he was a fraudster up and down, and it led to him going to prison. He went to jail.
There was also plenty of evidence.
Cheated on Tammy Faye.
Mm-hmm.
He was a shitbag.
Yeah. He was convicted in a court of law. This is important leading into this particular clip. Right.
Well, that's one way of looking at it, Frank. That's our view of what happened when he had an affair and then and paid,
stole tons of money
and all that sort of stuff. And it was widely reported, and there was finally he was actually put in jail. That's our view of what happened.
Right.
He has a different take.
Right.
Let's hear his take.
My experience with cancel culture, they canceled me. And it was a group of preachers really worked with it, but mainly it was the media.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the media got a Pulitzer Prize for putting me in prison. That's what they do. They reward the enemies of the gospel. And the cancel culture, we had the largest ministry of its type in the world. Heritage USA, millions of people came there. And it was millions being saved around the world. And they literally took it away, put it into bankruptcy, said they were going to care for it, and it was all lies, and it was a takeover plan. And it was done in front of the world. And that was what cancel culture is.
Public shaming is the definition.
And Mondo, one of the biggest agencies of the federal government, produced video from my show video and edited it and put me in prison. They said, they testified that it was that video that made people believe, well, something must be wrong. They made me say things I didn't say. They just put pieces together, thousands of pieces of my show. And so when I went into trial for the last trial, after prison, after I got out of prison, I was put on trial again. And in that, the lawyers got all that tape that the government had edited. The government did it. Just like now. This is cancel culture. And they took it apart and put it back the way it was on the show. And the lies, they made me tell lies that weren't there.
Unbelievable.
And when the courts heard this, they saw the first video, what the government had edited, and then they saw the one from the original. They voted unanimously that I wasn't guilty.
Wow.
Nobody knows these things,
right.
hardly. It was in the paper, the same papers that brought me down, but it was like 2 inches in the back of the paper. Jim Bakker wins. It was cancel culture.
That's right.
They did everything to cancel me, everything to erase me.
It was cancel culture.
I don't know. I think when the government or the courts cancel you, you probably did something wrong, right?
Well,
like,
yeah, if your
they don't-
quote unquote cancellation takes the form of a guilty verdict, that's different. That's not what cancel culture is supposed to be about.
Well, cancel culture is just, I mean, it's just people deciding. It's society deciding. That's what cancel culture is, right? That This is not acceptable behavior. And so we're ignoring you. You don't get to do your thing anymore, right?
Yeah, that's what real cancel culture is. And by the way, if anybody is listening to the show and if you've ever complained about cancel culture, look, that's all we're talking about. All we're talking about is a bunch of and it can be taken too far.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That's fine, but what we're talking about is society having norms and going, we're not okay with that, and we're not going to participate, and no, we're not going to buy your chicken with the pickles on it, or whatever. Anyway,
Yeah.
and of course, the people who most participate in cancel culture are the ones who are the ones who are most happy, or rather the people who complain about it the most are the ones who most participate.
Yeah, yes, absolutely.
Across the board, that is always the case. They just don't. It's not cancel culture when I do it. When I won't let my kids watch the Smurfs because it's satanic. That's not cancel culture. That's just being a good parent. Oh my God,
that was a family on my block growing up.
yeah.
Couldn't watch the Smurfs. Can you believe that? What a horrible childhood. I fucking love the Smurfs. Like, I don't know what I would have done without the Smurfs.
Wow, that's coming down strong in pro Smurf.
I'm pro
territory.
Smurf. Yeah,
You're hard in for the Smurfs.
yeah, they're Smurfy. You know.
How dare you say that? Oh,
You don't know what I just said.
It means everything. It's the word Smurf is the aloha of their culture.
Funny.
It means hello and goodbye. Well, we had some people write into us, so we had some folks call into us. Jane wrote in to say, "Hello, Frank and Dan. I started listening to you recently during lockdown. Well done. My brother introduced me to your podcast. We are happily atheist and love your show. I've heard you mention television shows like The Good Place. I love that show too. Mm-hmm. I think you might also like Good Omens. It's a great book. I would love to know what you guys think. You've already talked about it. If you've already talked about it, my apologies for missing it. Keep the faith. Not. Have you seen Good Omens, Frank?
I haven't. Well, she says it's a book.
It's a book that they made into a series.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
With the delightful David Tennant and the other guy who I also really like, who's an actor whose name eludes me right now. Anyway,
and you've watched it?
I've watched the series. Yeah, I think it's very fun. It's very fun. I have my quibbles with the filmmaking. Neil Gaiman wrote the book, I believe, and then he also wrote the script, the teleplay.
Yeah.
For the series. Is it Neil Gaiman? Am I thinking of the right thing? I think so.
Yeah.
I could be wrong. Anyway, we'll just assume that I'm brilliantly right about this. I'm going to play a voicemail.
Yes.
What should we do? Amanda?
Let's listen. Yeah, let's listen to Amanda.
Hi, y'all. My name's Amanda. I'm calling from Fayetteville, Arkansas. And I just listened to the episode where you guys were talking about the study on people losing their religion in college. And I'm calling because I totally agree with the stats or of the study that college teaches people to think critically, and that makes them lose their religion. That totally happened with me. However, I would say the class that really made me just say, okay, this is total crap, was just a basic Western Civ course. when I saw that a bunch of men got together and picked out which books were going to be in the Bible at the Nicene Council. And for me, that was it. So I ended up getting a degree in history with a minor in religious studies because I'm still fascinated by the topic, but that was the course for me that really did it. It's funny, though, because you guys said that a person who was a theater major probably wouldn't question their religion. And my husband has a degree in theater, and he completely lost his religion in college and because of college. So, yeah, that major, too, makes people question things. Anyway, all right. Love you guys. Great podcast. Bye.
You married a theater major?
First mistake. Right there.
Oh my God, that's a classic blunder. That's one of the Sicilian the classic blunders that they talk about. Yeah, look, yeah, you go to college, you actually meet a diversity of people.
Yeah,
unless you go to BYU, and shit happens.
Yeah,
that's a fun story. Thanks for that. By the way, Good Omens was written not only by Neil Gaiman but by Terry Pratchett. It was co-written. I should have mentioned that.
Oh yeah, it's important.
And yeah, so there's that. I should have said that. And Michael Sheen is the name of the other actor. It's on Amazon.
Michael Sheen. I love Michael Sheen.
Yeah, he's great.
Wow.
They're delightful.
Okay.
Jon Hamm shows up as an angel.
Jon Hamm?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I can't believe this has escaped you.
Yeah. I will watch anything with Jon Hamm.
I'm sure you would.
It's not true.
He's John Handsome is who he is.
Well, he is. But he's
easy on the old eyeballs.
I mean, Don Draper. Oh,
yeah.
What a character.
Exactly.
All right. Well, we have another voicemail that we should probably play. Responding to us and sort of talking about our stances on mask wearing at this point. Great. And I said something along the lines of like, well, I'm just not wearing a mask at all. Which was probably an overstatement a little bit, but I'm not.
And you mentioned going to a store with a mask.
Yeah, I'm more than willing to go into the grocery store without a mask. But anyway, Amanda has MJ, which I believe I heard that correctly. It explains their stance. So
okay.
Hi, Frank and Dan. My name is MJ. I just discovered you guys' podcast. I don't know, maybe about a month ago, and I've totally been binge listening to it. I was just listening to your latest show where you guys were talking about vaccinated people who did not have to wear masks in public anymore. And I have really, really mixed feelings about that because I have 2 kids who are under 12 and cannot yet be vaccinated. And I really super wish the CDC had held off until everybody was eligible to be vaccinated. So I'm still wearing my mask indoors most of the time because I want my kids to, and do as I say, not as I do. Parenting was never like a great model. So that's my take. I kind of wish they'd held off, although it is really super nice to go outside with other unvaccinated people and eat at the same table and not worry too much about it. That's pretty rockin'. Have a great week, guys. Thanks for what you do. Bye.
Well, yeah, there's the kid thing.
Kids.
That's a thing.
I never think about kids.
Why
I
would
always
you?
forget about them.
They're a fucking nightmare. I mean, it's definitely, I can see how that could make it harder on parents.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But also, the other thing is that, like, telling people that they can actually go maskless if they get the vaccine might be a good way to motivate people to get vaxxed. So
I don't see. I definitely fall on the. It's. I mean, how many people are like? If it's just the honor system, right? I mean, and I know this is a hole in a problem with the current setup, right? If it's just going to be a sign on the door that says we recommend all or anybody not wearing a mask or anybody who's not been vaccinated, please wear a mask, whatever it is, right?
Right.
As long as it's honor system, there's going to be a ton of people in there, possibly.
Yeah.
Right.
It's true.
Who are just never going to get vaccinated and never wore a mask to begin with, except for for the supermarket where they had to. You know, I'm looking at you, Utah, because that was basically how it was. And so, yeah, that's kind of, that's a problem. That's a hole. I get it. And I could see as a parent being like, you know, recognizing that and just being like, yeah, this makes it harder, but let's keep a mask on, you know, like.
Yeah. So I'm with you. Yeah.
But from my perspective, I know that there's the one side of it. I'm safe and I'm protected, and there's the other side of it, which is I'm not likely to be a vector for the for the virus either. So, so I that sense of like responsibility, I'm just like, I'm done.
All right.
But there is this example, and for the kids, I get it.
You heard it here, MJ. Frank just said, "Fuck your kids."
No, I didn't say
That's
that.
Frank's take. Frank's hot
take. That is literally not what I just said.
That's exactly what you said. That's I literally verbatim. All right, and we had one more email.
Nice.
This is from Miranda in the Motor City, Detroit. Who says, "Hey Frank and Dan, I was listening to your latest cast talking about the ELCA. That's the Episcopal Lutheran
Evangelical Lutheran Church of America.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And whether we should celebrate churches becoming more accepting or root for people simply leaving churches instead. I spent the majority of my upbringing in an ELCA church, so figured I'd chime in. My ELCA church in Ohio, I remember growing up, had what I now know was a gay music director. Pro tip, they were all gay. All the music directors were and are gay. Anyway, I don't believe that person was ever technically out and open as a gay man, but it was clear that my church operated on more of a don't ask, don't tell policy at the time, which was the early 2000s. Hearing this news about the trans bishop really doesn't surprise me. The ELCA church, from my experience, has for a long time been more on the side of loving everyone rather than judging. I commend them on being one of the first denominations to do something like this. But I still left. As much as these churches can be progressive on certain topics, they still tend to have beliefs that damaged me growing up. Particularly around ideas like purity before marriage. I wasn't given the fire and brimstone-style warnings of hellfire, but I was still given the ideas around virginity, being broken in sin, and helpless without Jesus, and even had the awful multiple partners means you're like a chewed piece of gum for your husband story.
Yeah.
I know many others heard in youth group in their churches growing up. Things like this still caused me to question once I got to university and made my first non-Christian friends. And at the end of the day, these churches still believe that belief in Jesus is a requirement for heaven. As someone whose best friend was Muslim in college, I simply couldn't believe that a loving God would send my friend to hell. How could I be happy in heaven knowing they were suffering for eternity? Just wanted to say that these progressive churches still have ultimately damaging views, and people who are open-minded seekers ultimately, I think, still find their way out, even if they are generally more accepting than other churches. Yeah, I mean, yeah, like we said, church is poison. Religion's poison. Yeah. It doesn't matter how touchy-feely happy it is.
Right.
In the end, dogma kills.
I think that maybe, Dan, because I know that you and I know what we mean when we talk about, a church making progress or getting a little bit better or whatever. It may be confusing for some listeners, right, who maybe are new to the show or something. Maybe we should take a stance that's just flipped a little, which is it's less bad.
Yeah,
the story is where like there's they've appointed some pastor minister who's X, Y, or Z minority, and it's surprising that that they would do that to us. Maybe we shouldn't be like, oh, wow, that's a good thing. We should be like, that's a less bad thing.
Yeah, I think that's right.
It might just behoove us to adopt some kind of new language on it, because it's because I can see how some listeners, because we have gotten feedback on this topic. We've played some feedback on this topic actually not too long ago, and it's like maybe it's just the way we're communicating it. You and me.
So we just need to start the less awful file.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, basically.
All right. Fine.
I don't know. It's just an idea.
Well, friends, listen, there are lots of ways that you guys can help us out if you're enjoying the show. One of the ways is that you can write us a review on the iTunes or whatever.
It's so lovely when you do.
It costs you nothing but your time and brain cells. But you could be like _edgy, who wrote, "Best podcast on air!" !
Nice.
This is one of my favorite podcasts. I'll get behind on other shows just so I'm caught up with TGIA.
Nice.
So, obviously, that is wild hyperbole and insane to say, but we certainly appreciate it, and you're allowed to do that. Here's a great thing about you guys writing reviews. You can go way over the top with it, and we won't get mad. You can lie and say we're the best thing that has ever happened to humanity.
Yeah.
And that would be great. As long as you give us 5 stars and write anything, that's super helpful to us. But there are other ways that people can help us, Frank.
There are indeed, Dan. They can give us money.
I love that idea.
So
literally, look, it's still a pandemic, and I still don't have any acting jobs. I need it. You got to give us your money right now.
Don't let Dan starve, everybody. No. So anyway, we actually have 3 new patrons over on Patreon. We have a new deacon by the name of Kyriakos. So thank you very much and welcome on board.
I believe that is Greek for a state of well-being.
Are you serious?
No.
You just look it up?
No, I just made that up.
That's quick. We have a new teacher by the name of Nicolette. So welcome to the priesthood, Nicolette.
Amazing.
And then we have a new priest by the name of Katie.
Oh,
so
peace be upon you all. Amazing. Amazing. You all now have the magic powers that we are able to bestow on you. Every bit as powerful as the actual priesthood that we stole it from in the Mormon Church. So congratulations, all of you, on getting the priesthood, and thanks so much for your support to you and all of our supporters.
And if you'd like to join them, you can do so by going to thankgodimatheist.com and clicking on the support tab, and then you have a couple options. And as always, Dan, we have our top donor to thank, our Lord and Savior, Austin! Woo! Dan!
Hey!
Or should I say Reverend Beecher?
You know, I still have never gone to one of those places on the web that you can go and get I've had a few near misses where I was asked to officiate someone's wedding and then it just sort of fell through or whatever. So I still haven't ever done that. So I have not had a call to anoint myself in that way.
So you were not.
But I still prefer that people refer to me as Reverend.
Yeah, it's a funny thing though, right? These little titles that religious leaders like to bestow upon themselves. It makes them seem important, doesn't it?
Well, I mean, you got all these people who went to unaccredited, rinky-dink, dopey Christian colleges. Some of them are great, but some of them have exactly zero academic value, and yet they want us to call them doctor. Reverend Doctor blah, 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 or Doctor so-and-so, or whatever.
Right. And it just isn't true. It's all fake and made up. It's fake and made up. Right?
But that's the thing. All of these things are fake and made up. Other universities at some point just made it up too.
Excuse me?
But it's like it means something. If you get a doctorate degree from, the University of Utah, our alma mater, that has a certain meaning to it.
Yeah, it does.
Whereas if you're Dr. So-and-so from, Industrial Hands of Worship College, it sticks in my craw a little bit. That you want me to call you Dr. Jones or whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then there are the people that they devote their lives to it. They are a pastor. That's their full-time gig.
Right. But
do I call them Pastor Rick? If he introduces himself to me, hey, I'm Pastor Rick.
Oh, you just made this awkward, Pastor Rick.
Hello.
We're not in a religious context here.
Yeah.
I'm not a member of your pastoral group.
Yeah, it's weird. And, it's funny because when we were... The thing that set this conversation off was Hemant Mehta over on The Friendly Atheist posted a link to a Reddit conversation asking, am I the asshole, which is a Reddit thing. And this was a question about, a Catholic and an atheist walk into a bar. No, they meet up with some nuns who introduce themselves as, or who are introduced as Sister so-and-so and Sister so-and-so. I think they use Sister Mary and Sister Teresa. Those aren't the real names, but they've been changed to protect the innocent or whatever.
Because those are really uncommon, nun names.
Yeah, it's true. We would instantly be able to find and dox Sister Mary and Sister Teresa if we knew their real monikers. Anyway, the friend was just said, "Hi Mary, hi Teresa," which does speak to not actually knowing how nuns get their names, because the names that they were born with were not Mary and Teresa. They're named after saints and whatever. But,
right.
But their full name that you're supposed to refer to them as is Sister Mary and Sister Teresa. But this person was not a Catholic, and that's an honorific. And do we do that? Which is, it's just tricky. When long-time listeners, and I mean listeners who go all the way back, will recall that I once did an interview with the then Bishop of London, who was, third, I believe, in line in the sort of progression of hierarchy. He was a top dog in the Church of England.
Yeah.
And I started the interview by saying, I don't know what I'm supposed to call you. What do I call you?
Mm-hmm.
And he was very funny about it. And he was like, well, I don't know. You're from Utah, so it doesn't really mean it. So you could just call me Bishop Richard. And I was like, well, what's the thing that I would call you if I weren't from Utah? And he was like, my Lord Bishop or whatever. So then there was
really piling it on, right? My Lord Bishop.
So many honorifics, and none of them applied to me. But what's interesting is that he was going to forgive me not calling him your lordship, but he's going to stick with the honorific of bishop. Which, I mean, I get it. He worked hard for it. He probably stepped on some weaker priests to get where he was. So I don't know. It's tricky. What are your thoughts? Where do you come down on the on whether or not we should honor honorifics that don't apply to us?
So
we don't believe in your silly church.
Yeah, because it does. There are a couple of these honorific. Your example of like Pastor Rick or whatever he said was almost like perfect, because it's like, dude. why am I calling you pastor anything, right? Like, you're clearly just some dude, and you go by your pastor first name. Like, that's weird to me too, right? Like, you clearly don't take this very seriously yourself, except you do. And so that one's
and
like,
we're at a barbecue,
hey,
dude.
Oh, nice to meet you, Rick. Right? Like, easy enough. But like, I think when you add like a good deal of education, even if it's education in something that, you know, we don't really respect. And I think actually more so than like that, it's what's your goal as far as like an interaction with this person, because you could very easily just be like, yeah, I'm just gonna like, I'm out to offend today. That's what I'm feeling a little jaunty, right? Like let's stir some things up and just like ignore the title. You could totally do that. And some people live their lives that way. And if you're that person, go for it. Right. But I think like if you're just like in polite company, right? Like, like you might just want to be polite as just kind of like you know, like why offend somebody on that ground, right? Because
why bring down the party?
Yeah, and you've already like ended any interesting discussion that you might actually have with the person, about, you know, their favorite topic in the world, and so, and apparently ours too. We talk about it a lot.
We do talk. Well, I mean, it's our job, and it's their job, right? So there you go.
Yeah. So I mean, that's the main thing for me, is that sometimes it's sort of unnecessary to offend someone, especially if you, like, you know, the Bishop of London, you know, Bishop so and so, who cares, right? You know, like why just offend? Yeah, just for the sake of offending.
Well, and especially if they, you know, in the case of the Bishop of London, he's an incredibly busy man, and he was willing to give me some of his time.
Yeah.
What a dick move would that have been if I had been like, okay, Rick, okay, Richard, let's rock and roll this thing, Ricky boy.
Yeah.
It's I mean, there is such a thing as politeness. Yeah. It's not stupid to be polite.
No, I don't think so. I mean, but I think that's sort of the approach that I usually. Well, now I say this as somebody who yelled at a random stranger today. So,
I mean, here's the thing though: who's more likely to be rude? If that person ends up being rude, which
gloves
Pastor
off.
Rick is likely to be rude.
Yeah.
I think you can drop the honorific immediately in that point. Yeah, at that point.
If he's not a perfect gentleman,
right?
Just okay.
He starts talking about like how shitty it is that, you know, that our society is condoning, you know, the rights of LGBTQ people. You don't have to call him Pastor Rick.
I agree with that. Yes.
He broke the politeness, not you.
Yeah, I think that's actually. Yes, that might be it, right?
Although, if you drop the honorific in that scenario, you miss the opportunity to use it sarcastically, which that's also a lovely tool.
Yeah.
Really? Pastor Rick?
Yeah.
That's where you're going with this?
Man of God, Rick.
Really?
Follower of Jesus.
Sister Teresa, that's where you want to take this conversation?
Because I'm sure
really,
the nun
sister?
She was really nasty, I'm sure.
Yeah. Oh, there are nasty nuns.
There are nasty nuns, yeah. I always just think
Matter of fact, somebody please start a band called the Nasty Nuns. That's the new band name. I'm giving it to you. Whoever gets an album out first gets to keep it. Anyway, I think this is a decent place to land. I think I'm happy with where we're landing on this.
Yeah.
You're under no obligation to call them by their honorific, but you know, also I've had really interesting conversations with with monks, with pastors.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have had, you're right, that I wouldn't have had those conversations if I hadn't been respectful.
Right.
So
what's the title for a nun or for a monk?
Oh, father.
Is it father? Oh, I didn't
Yeah,
know.
and I don't think I don't think I'd use the term father.
Huh.
But I don't think I think you can also deftly avoid using just their name. Like, you don't have to say, like, you don't have to say Father Jonathan. You can just be like, "Oh, hey, buddy." You don't have to, I mean, how often do you have to say someone's title and name?
Yeah.
Here's another possibility. Make them use your title.
Oh.
You come up with a title too.
Hey.
Just be like, "Hey, I'll call you that, but you have to call me so-and-so."
What's the title? Come on.
I don't know. Let's
You
have to call me Herr Doctor Professor. Dan.
Oh. Yeah.
Oh, are you a professor somewhere?
Nope.
I just prefer the title. These are the same people, by the way.
You can just be Captain Dan.
Captain Dan.
I'm Captain Dan.
I'm Captain Dan. Oh, are you in the Navy?
Nope. I just like.
Do you have a boat?
Nope.
I just want to go to space someday. So we're going to call me Captain Dan. That is it. If you guys don't call me, "Oh, Captain, my Captain," from now on, I'm going to be upset. Here's the thing. I did want to mention, by the way, that if you want to disrespect these people, these are the same people. A lot of these people, not all of them certainly, but a lot of these people would be the same people who won't respect someone's pronouns when they are told what they are.
Oh.
So I think you're under no obligation to them.
Just shift to the wrong title. So they introduce Pastor Rick, and you're like, "Oh, Reverend Rick."
Just keep shifting it.
Yeah.
Oh, so Rabbi Rick, what was it that you were saying about
Dr. Rick?
Now,
that would
Rick
be
here is
really
an imam.
offensive.
Have you met Rick? He is a
He's some sort of religious leader. Was it
He's
imam?
some sort of-
Was that what it was, Rick?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. If they're not willing to do it, you don't have to be willing to do it. It's just a matter of what your goals are for the day.
Yeah. No, that's for real.
There you go.
All right.
Well, if you would like to add to this conversation, we welcome it. Please feel free to write into us, podcast@thankgodimatheist.com.
Or call and leave us a voicemail message. The telephone number is 424-666-8442.
Yeah, hey, go to the Facebook page, facebook.com/TGIAtheist, and click the like button.
And if you'd like to join one of our 2 members-only lounges, we have got one over on Facebook. We've got one on Discord. You can find both of them by going to thankgodimatheist.com/members only.
Hey, thanks so much to the Red Rock Hot Club for the use of their beautiful music.
And thanks to Gordon Johnston for the use of his music.
And thanks to all of y'all for tuning in. We sure do appreciate you.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.